So in terms of GFSI, it's been on the radar for a few years, and we've tried a few different options, including leveraging off our global gap recognition, and we got clarity at the start of this year that that wasn't going to work. So the committee agreed to embarking on a GFSI recognition project. We've been successful with funding from MPI for this, which is great, because it is additional development of NZ gap. It's an additional recognition we're seeking. It's a very comprehensive process. So rather than growers having to pay for that, having some external funding is great. What we're aiming for is to have one standard that's recognized by Global Gap, by GFSI, and by MPI under the Food Act, which will be so very significant from a grower's point of view to minimize duplication, cost, compliance, all the rest. How we're going to do that is starting with version 6.2, which is our current Global Gap equivalent standard, and we're incorporating a couple of additional GFSI requirements into a version called version 6.3. The aim then is that any market that's asking for GFSI, with Australia, North America was mentioned earlier on, then a grower will be able to more readily meet those markets. And ultimately then we're reducing duplication and compliance burden for growers by having 3 recognitions incorporated into one standard. It will actually be a world first for a scheme to have both GFSI and Global Gap recognition, so we're very proud of that when achieved. And having the Food Act recognition, it's not as common in other countries for a private standard to be recognized by the regulator. So yeah, I think pretty massive achievement when we get there. We just got another question here from Bradley. So talking templates, if it's possible to have a range of standard templates for growers, fruit and veg, exporter, Word or Excel that are NZ Gap, GFSI or Global Gap friendly, to meet all standards, easy to fill out and updated when if necessary, would save time and resources across the industry. Bradley, you're going to love my presentation on version 7. So just an update on timelines for GFSI. It's been very challenging to get clarity on timelines. One of the things being that you've got a linear process, say with GFSI, then you've also got a linear process with Global Gap and a linear process with MPI and the Food Act. And we're trying to combine all 3 of those and get compromise around timelines. So it's been quite a journey to get to this stage, to have 3 key stakeholders agreeing on one standard and one set of rules. But we did get there around July and submitted our GFSI application for GFSI, and we've drafted the standards and the rules for version 6.3, and it's very minor changes for anyone who's currently in version 6.2, so that's good news. We're going to submit our benchmarking to GFSI in the next couple of weeks, and from there we end up we're into a very formal process with GFSI. So they will come and do a desktop assessment of NZ Gap, and then they'll come and visit the office and interview the staff and just look at our management system, see how we're what oversight we have of the audits and of growers in terms of compliance. So a very rigorous process we'll be going through in the next few months. In parallel to that, we'll be doing pilot audits with 10 growers. One of the requirements is that we need 10 certificates to demonstrate as part of that evidence to GFSI that the requirements have met. One of GFSI's requirements is the public consultations. So that is, once they've done all their assessments, they're comfortable that we're meeting the requirements, they'll go through a public consultation process before it will go to their board approval. I am a little bit concerned that the timelines have slipped a little bit. GFSI have committed to meeting our expectations of being recognised by the end of this year, and I think it seems will have to be pushed out a little bit. So I've gone from the end of this year to Q1 2023. We're trying to get exact clarity on that, because we know growers are wanting GFSI recognition for their markets, and we also have to recognise that the orders have to update their systems to meet it as well. So I think the key message from here is ask your market if you need a GFSI recognised standard, and ask about transition timelines. So in other countries, so like in Australia, for example, they were given a 2 or 3 year timeline to transition to a GFSI recognised standard. So if it's really asking that question of the market is what is the no-go date for them? Is it this season? Is it next season? Is it Christmas? What is their timeline? So we're really keen to hear from anyone who is interested in GFSI recognition. And it's not just version 6.3, also version 7. So looking at that horizon of a few years from now. And get in contact with us, especially if you've got any questions. And from here on, now that the ball is really rolling on that GFSI recognition, just keep an eye out for Horticulture newsletters and the magazines for updates. And we'll be keeping everyone across what's happening in the GFSI space from now through till we have recognition.